What's going on, you guys? Charlie from MAPerformance here, and today we're talking about an exciting one, a new product for my favorite car that we have. As you guys know already by the title of the video, it's our new Honda Civic Fk8 Type-R intake. This is a revision to a product that we already had out on the marketplace. I'm sure you guys have seen it before. A lot of you guys are actually running the product, and this is a new and improved version over our stock one for a couple of reasons, which we'll be getting into very shortly. But today we're going to cover everything that's included in the box, the types of gains and performance enhancements you may see with this product over a stock Honda Civic Type-R intake. You're going to also see some of the design philosophy behind how and why we designed it the way we did. We're going to pass that to Dalen. All right, let's go ahead and get this thing out of the box. So this is a piece that's gonna fasten to the front of your engine bay, attached to the airbox. This is the main component you'll spend most of your time looking at. They've conveniently stuffed it full of most of the parts for the airbox, minus a handful of items, such as these. And now we've only got one more thing we need. These bad boys. All right, so now that we've got everything unboxed and taken out, laid out here on the table, let's go through everything that's included when you get your new Fk8 intake. So first and foremost will be this piece that you're looking at. This is our new airbox. It's got a plastic design that's obviously helping with some of the heat mitigation. We're not gonna get into a ton of the why does this product exist. We're gonna let Dalen speak about some of that stuff later, some of why it's included, the way it's done the way it is. I'm gonna give you guys the quick rundown, the list. So again, airbox, check number one. Check number two, you're gonna wanna look for is the cast inlet piping. So this piece is really neat. A lot of cool, awesome design philosophies with that. Stay tuned, Dalen will have some cool info there, I'm sure of it. The next piece on the list is the front gasket clip. So this is the piece that I was referencing to earlier that is gonna go and attach to the actual front end of your car, kind of the radiator support bar that goes across the front there, helps provide a really great seal to the hood. And then you're also going to have, obviously, the nice intake filter itself. So we obviously include one of these with our air intakes. Check this guy out. Very large inlet piece, ties into this cast pipe really, really well, and is also responsible for a lot of what is making this whooshy noise inside this black echo chamber box. The next piece that you're gonna get included is the silicone coupler with obviously the worm clamps on there as well. These, obviously come to provide us a tight air seal from the cast inlet pipe onto your turbo inlet pipe. So that'll be great. And then of course, all the other necessary fittings, hoses, gaskets, and miscellaneous clips that you'll end up needing. That should include everything that it is that should come in the box when you get your MAPerformance intake from us. So that's gonna conclude everything that's in the box. For the next piece, we're gonna talk about some of the performance gains, design philosophy behind why we chose the components we did, why we made a second intake for the Civic Type-R when we already had one. So for that, we'll pass it over to Dalen. Dalen, what you got?
The reason we went this direction is just kind of a different design philosophy with some of the intakes we're manufacturing here at MAPerformance. We wanted to take inspiration from some of the things that we as enthusiasts kind of grew up with in the sport compact scene. You used to see a lot of cast aluminum, you used to see a lot of aesthetic focused products. You saw things that looked good in an engine bay, and we really wanted to harness that while bringing together modern manufacturing techniques, modern design techniques, and really bridge something that was an ode to yesteryear of the sport compact. So we wanted to take that and work it into something that's a little more OEM plus, fits the engine bays of a modern vehicle, and just really drives home kind of a feeling that it's just supposed to be there. As we see vehicles and engine bays get more complex, as we see vehicles become a little bit harder to work on or a little bit harder to fit things, we have to work with more organic shapes and things that are a little bit more specific to each vehicle. Gone are the days of just making a box and bolting it in. It's just much more complex. Now, let's talk about what all of this has allowed us to do. So one of the biggest things is gonna be ease of install. So one of the things we focused on is being able to install this quickly with minimal tools and being able to service it quickly and work on it without any hassle or installing or reinstalling or taking a bunch of stuff out to change your air filter. So one of the biggest things is gonna be as few pieces as possible. So what you're gonna see here are the three major components. This is gonna be the velocity stack and integrated MAF housing. So that right there has everything built into one. You don't have to couple on a bunch of different pieces. You don't have to worry about a whole bunch of clamps coming loose. It's just one single piece that houses everything. This is the factory MAF diameter. Everything will bolt directly in your vehicle and your car can drive around with just bolting this right in. Nothing special needed. Once that's in, you're gonna see a filter normally goes right into this hole. The filter easily slides in and out of this box, so it's very easy to service and work on. And it's just something that we wanted to focus on for the customer. We didn't want a lot of hassle when you're dealing with the product. I wanna touch on this piece really quick. Something as complex as this product, yet looks so simple, just needs a couple of cool call outs. So you'll see on the backside, we actually cut as much weight out of this as possible to keep this component as lightweight as we possibly could. Once again, this is a Type-R. We want to keep that kind of design language speaking to what the Type-R is all about. It's a performance-oriented vehicle. So we cut all the way. This is actually a very light piece for being a large cast aluminum chunk. Cut all the weight out as much as possible. And once again, we talked about how we integrated all the factory mounting conditions, all the factory PCB stuff, and we tucked it away and hid it. Let's get the last little piece, that velocity stack. One of the things with the Type-R is a very tight engine base. So trying to get the right design for the intake that actually gets the air flowing as smooth and as fast as possible was a challenge. So we went through a lot of different design iterations. We've made pieces out of billet, we've cast pieces, we've 3D printed pieces. What we landed on is this velocity stack right here. So what this is gonna allow is the air from the filter going into the intake to be as uniform and smooth as possible so you get the best MAP readings and the most air into that engine and keep it as happy as possible. What you can see here is the weather stripping installed on both the box and this gasket clip. We use the factory gasket clip mounting hardware and area and the factory hood inlet on the Fk8. This seals perfectly to that to continue with the lower IATs and getting that clean air from the front of the car into the airbox. As we talk about ease of install, what you can see here is we have some very simple stuff. You have one bolt from the box in the back, one piece on the front, and then two pieces and the factory clips for the gasket. And then this just slides right in. So this is gonna use the OEM inlet pipe, one clamp here, a couple pieces of hardware. We rotated some of the PCV system to the bottom to hide it and kind of clean up the engine bay, because once again, the focus here is to make things look as clean and neat as possible. Performance-wise, modern cars are kind of all over the place. So how intelligent factory ECUs are, it can kind of vary on power numbers from when you just install a product to actually calibrating for the product. And depending on how far you go with it, you're gonna see differing gains in what's installed in the car. Just installing the product, you're gonna see a peak horsepower gain of sometimes up to 15 horsepower at peak. You're gonna see roughly 20 horsepower in that mid-range. Once again, depending on fuel, depending on location, depending on condition of the car, you can see higher, you can see lower numbers. Where this thing really shines is some of the OTS maps and the Pro Tunes for these vehicles. They really wake the cars up. K-Tuner and Honda both have some awesome options for these cars. Once you get into that range, you're gonna see a lot more in the mid-range. So we're seeing upwards of between 20 and 30 horsepower in the mid-range on a tuned vehicle, and upwards of 15 to 20 on the peak horsepower side of stuff. So there's just so much to go into it that there's hard to just put a stick in the ground and say, this is the power number it'll create. But I'm trying to give you guys a rough idea that stock for stock, we're seeing a lot of gains on this one versus the OEM and many of the other factory options that you see from the other suppliers out there right now. One thing I know everybody's gonna ask is, once again, this is the factory MAF diameter. So as you start to get up into that 550, 600 horsepower range, you will wanna move into something like the Honda MAF 500. And we have seen upwards of almost 600 horsepower on this intake with that MAF. It's a great pairing. It works awesome. We've seen no drivability issues with it. For those of you looking to make that bigger power number, there are options on that side of the table for you.
With that, it's gonna kind of conclude the video. Hopefully by now you know everything that you need to know about our Fk8 intake. However, if you wanna see a really cool ASMR video of how this thing sounds, it's gonna be one of these corners. We'll put that up on the screen. If you're interested in seeing a little bit more about, some of the different features and spinny, cool B-roll, we've got another one of those videos for you too. Pretty exciting as well. If you wanna get really, really amped up about buying an intake, that's the one that you would definitely wanna watch. Otherwise, if you don't need any more information, go ahead and check out the link that's down below where you can go to our website, MAPerformance.com, and you can get one of these intakes for yourself. I hope you guys got all your questions answered. If there's anything else that you have, make sure you leave them down in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.